campaign and the Democratic National Committee to find dirt and defeat Donald Trump worked early and often with the FBI, a Department of Justice official, and the intelligence community during the 2016 presidential election and in the early days of Trump's presidency. Fusion GPS's work and its involvement with several FBI officials have all been reported. But a closer view of these new documents shows just how closely Associate Deputy Attorney General Bruce Orr, who reported to Obama-era Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, maintained contact with Fusion, and, in particular, its primary source, former British spy Christopher Steele, before, during, and after the election. Sally Yates was fired by President Trump over an unrelated political dispute. Bruce Orr was demoted recently. Bruce Orr's own notes, emails, and text messages show he communicated extensively with Christopher Steele and with Fusion GPS founder Glenn Simpson. Those documents have been turned over in recent weeks to investigative bodies in Congress and the DOJ, but not reviewed outside the investigative ranks until now. They show Bruce Orr had contact with Christopher Steele in the days just before the FBI opened its Trump-Russia probe in summer 2016, and then engaged Steele as a confidential human source, assisting in that probe. They also confirmed that Bruce Orr later became a critical conduit of continuing information from Christopher Steele after the FBI ended his role as an informant. Bruce, doubtless a sad and crazy day for your Sally Yates, Steele texted Bruce Orr on January 31st, 2017, referencing President Trump's firing of Sally Yates for insubordination. Christopher Steele's FBI relationship had been terminated about 3 months earlier. The Bureau concluded on November 1st, 2016, that he leaked information to the news media and was not suitable for as a confidential source, memos show. The FBI specifically instructed Christopher Steele that he could no longer operate to obtain any intelligence whatsoever on behalf of the FBI. Yet, Christopher Steele asked Bruce Orr in the January 31st text exchange if he could continue to help feed information to the FBI. This is what he texted. Just want to check you are okay, still in the situation and able to help locally as discussed, along with your Bureau colleagues. Bruce Orr texted back, I'm still here and able to help as discussed. I'll let you know if that changes. Christopher Steele replied, if you end up out though, I really need another Bureau contact, point/number, who is briefed. We can't allow our guy to be forced to go back home. It would be disastrous. Investigators are trying to determine who Christopher Steele was referring to in that text. FBI officials now admit they continued to receive information from Steele through Bruce Orr, identifying more than a half dozen times its agents interviewed Bruce Orr in late 2016 and 2017 to learn what Christopher Steele was saying. So the FBI fired Christopher Steele, said don't collect intelligence, and then they ended up through a back channel through Bruce Orr of the Department of Justice still collecting information from him. That continued reliance on Christopher Steele after his termination is certain to raise interest in Congress about whether the FBI broke its own rules. But the memos also raised questions about Bruce Orr and the Justice Department's role in the origins of building a counterintelligence case against a Republican presidential nominee, based heavily on opposition research funded by his rival's campaign, Hillary Clinton, the DNC, who Hillary Clinton owned, and her law firm, Perkins Coie. Some of those more tantalizing Bruce Orr contacts occurred in the days when Steele made his first contacts with the FBI in summer 2016 about the Russia matter. There is something separate I want to discuss with you informally and separately. It concerns our favorite business tycoon. Christopher Steele wrote that to Bruce Orr on July 1st, 2016. That overture came just 4 days before Christopher Steele walked into the FBI office in Rome with still unproven allegations that Trump had an improper relationship with Russia including possible efforts to hijack the presidential election. Bruce Orr scheduled a call with Christopher Steele over Skype a few days later, but then the two men met in Washington on July 30th, 2016 at the Mayflower Hotel. Bruce Orr brought his wife, Nellie, who was working at Fusion GPS, on the Trump-Russia research project. "Great to see you and Nellie this morning, Bruce." Christopher Steele wrote that shortly after their breakfast. Then he said, "Let's keep in touch on the substantive issues. Glenn is happy to speak to you on this if it would help." That meeting occurred exactly 1 day before FBI counterintelligence official Peter Strzok formally opened an investigation dubbed Crossfire Hurricane into whether the Trump campaign was colluding with Moscow to steal the election. At the time, the case was based mostly on an Australian diplomat's tip that Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos appeared to know in advance that the Russians possessed information involving Hillary Clinton before hacked documents were released on WikiLeaks. Soon, the case expanded to include allegations that Trump advisor Carter Page might have ties to Russia, an uncorroborated allegation from Fusion GPS's research now known as the Steele dossier. Calendar notations and handwritten notes indicate Bruce Orr followed up on Christopher Steele's offer and met with Simpson on August 22, 2016. Bruce Orr's note indicates Simpson identified several possible intermediaries between the Trump campaign and Russia. One was identified as a longtime associate of Trump who put together several real estate deals for Russian investigators to purchase Trump properties. Another was a Russian apparently tied to Carter Page, Bruce Orr's note of a Simpson contact indicated. Christopher Steele offered Bruce Orr many other theories over their contacts, including a now widely discredited one that the Russian Alpha Bank had a computer server as a link to the Trump campaign, Bruce Orr's notes show. Though much of Steele's information remained uncorroborated, the FBI nonetheless took extraordinary step in October 2016 of seeking a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act surveillance warrant to monitor Carter Page during the final days of the election, based mostly on the Steele's dossier. The warrant was renewed at least 3 times, but Page was never even charged. Bruce Orr's connections to Christopher Steele are significant because at least one of the FISA warrants was approved by Bruce Orr's boss, Sally Yates. By early November 2016, Steele was terminated for unauthorized media contacts, and the FBI was turning to Bruce Orr as a back channel to Christopher Steele after that. Bruce Orr's notes suggest he met November 21st, 2016 with FBI officials that included Peter Strzok, then FBI attorney Lisa Page, and another agent. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page have now become the poster children for Republicans who believe the FBI abused its authority by investigating Trump on flimsy evidence, and with text messages coming out showing how much they literally hated him and want to stop him from becoming president. FBI records confirm an interview with Bruce Orr around that time. Bruce Orr's notes from that meeting indicate that FBI officials told him they may go back to Christopher Steele just 20 days after dismissing him. In all, Bruce Orr's notes, emails, and text messages identify more than 60 contacts with Steele and/or Simpson, some dating back to 2002 in London, but the vast majority occurred during the 2016-2017 timeframe that gave birth to one of the most controversial counterintelligence probes in American history. Most importantly, the new memos made clear that Bruce Orr, a man whose name was barely uttered during the first 18 months of the scandal, may have played a critical role in stitching together a Democrat opposition research project and top echelons of the FBI and DOJ. Representatives for the Justice Department and FBI did not return calls Tuesday seeking comment. Not surprising. A message left on the cell phone for Bruce and Nellie Orr seeking comment was not returned.